This conference will now be recorded.
Perfect. Sorry about that, Olga. Thank you.
Not a problem. So the all properties tool usually will actually show you parcels that have been listed on the market at one point or another and or traded. Now, we of course collect information primarily about commercially zoned parcels or ones that are deemed for larger residential development. For example, if it's single family, we would look at parcels that are at least 20 to 50 acres in size and more to make sure that we're capturing some of the larger tracts. But we're not going to have single family development in our system. So from the
I guess
homepage, once
how small down can you search? Because I know one of the areas that I'm looking in is an urban infill area around downtown, um,
okay.
and parcels that are anywhere from an acre to 2 acres to 5 acres are also potentially good development sites for us. Are any of those accessible?
There are, you can search for any size. It just depends on, let me give you a couple examples because it depends on the zoning of the parcel and you will find it in different spots. So we'll start with the information that's inside of all the properties tool. So from the home page, we're going to click all properties. Now, can we use the downtown area of San Antonio to identify some of these?
Uh,
Or
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's kind of two separate things. So my retail business is urban infill, and then I'm also working with a couple build for rent funds, and we would be looking for much larger parcels around the outskirts of town. So that the 20-acre minimum is probably just fine. I mean, again, if maybe there's assemblage, right? So one owner owns multiple contiguous properties, it'd be great to know if one's a 5 acre, one's a 7 acre, but they total up to 20, 30, 40 acres. That'd be helpful. But it's
yes.
it's kind of two separate things.
So I will go and review both of the examples then. CBD San Antonio, the downtown area, we'll start with that. Go ahead and select that, Troy. And in the property type, we want to right away click the drop down and choose land parcels. Once you do, you have a different type of questionnaire that comes up next to this particular box that says land area versus property size. And this is where you can go anywhere below an acre to up to 100 plus acres, depending on what you're searching for. And so on the max acreage in the downtown area, can we go ahead and on the right hand side put in 2 acres just to start as a search? And you can always type it in case you don't see that particular option. And in this case, the dark blue diamonds represent active listings. The ones that are grayed out have either traded in the past and we have a sale comp associated with it, or maybe it's just off market at this point. It's not an active listing right this moment. If you want to narrow things down a little bit more, if you go to the filters tab right at the top there, you have the opportunity to click the land selection, and this is something you may want to be mindful of, but the proposed use is something that people do fill out. Not everybody does, though. So, for example, if you're looking for small apartment complex land sites, you can choose apartment units as a proposed use, or there's retail type of proposed use, and so forth. Just wanted to point out that this does exist. You also, if you go ahead and scroll down just a bit further, Troy, right there, zoning, you just skipped it. Sorry about that. Zoning codes, at times when you want to, for example, look for commercial zoned parcels, you can just type in C for commercial. And there's also a keyword search. When people are entering specific notes about their listings, you may want to go ahead and type in the keyword search that's right below that subway and rail proximity option. And that does give you the opportunity to look for, say, if they are saying site for multifamily development, residential zoning, or some of the keywords that you may be looking for. Now, I want to really stress here that this is not going to show every single parcel. This is really just the parcels that we're tracking. And what I would advise that you do is you look for maybe active listings and set up an alert. So at the top left, there is an option to choose listing type, and it will give you an option to say for lease or for sale. We do actually offer for lease land. That's not something that you may be looking for, but so you know it's there. For sale, once you choose that, you will be able to set up an alert for active land parcels that come on the market that are up to 2 acres in the CBD area of San Antonio. Now, there are 10 properties right at the moment. So, can we X out of this particular filters page for now and go and look at the list of results? As you go through some of these results, you may be able to remove the ones that you really are not interested in, or maybe favorite the ones that you do like to go back to. But once you go through, if you want to see additional records that hit the market going forward, hit save at the top, save current search. And when you do save a search, at the bottom left, it states enable alerts on the pop-up that just came up. You just want to make sure that you turn the alerts on in case you want to get notified of new searches. And you can set up a folder for your land parcels in downtown versus your suburban areas. And then just when you're naming these searches, you just describe what you looked for so that when the alerts come through, you know. It is a once a day email, so don't worry about getting, a ton of emails. This is just going to list out all of the new parcels that have hit the market that match the search that you performed. You probably are not going to get a lot of alerts about downtown areas, though, as you can imagine. Not a lot is hitting the markets down there. But you want to go ahead and save that. Let's go ahead and zoom into one of these parcels because I do want to show you, you mentioned, looking around what else is in the area. So right there in the downtown area, you actually, when you start zooming in, you have map layers that you can apply. First, I actually like to go back and switch my map to an aerial view personally. And it's right below the layers. You have the option to stay on the street, 3D, or an aerial view. The reason why I like to do that is because when I'm zoomed in, obviously I can see all the roof lines. And when you click layers, you have the opportunity to click the parcel overlay. Now, this actually will feed the grid from the county records, and you'll be able to see all of the parcels next to the property that is currently for sale. You are able to click on the parcel ID and come up with a very quick snapshot of who the current owner is. Notice that this one is Acre Limited. Close out of that and click the parcel right next door. It looks like it's a parking lot, but you may want to cross compare who the owners are, at least the recorded owners are. And so you see that they are selling this parcel, but they own the land right next door. So when you're calling, you have the opportunity to ask, well, what about the parking lot? Are you guys using that, or are you looking to sell that as well? I'm going to pause here for a second. Do you have questions so far?
Is there a way to identify without clicking? And if I want to say, hey, what is this, just to automatically identify contiguous properties owned by the same person? Is that possible?
Not on this page. It's not. There is a way to filter for public recording, and I'll get to that in just a few minutes. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about that.
Got it. Okay. No, nothing else right now.
Okay, now let's go ahead and clear out these filters and talk a little bit about the difference between this search versus the one that we would be performing for the suburban area. So X out of the layers for now, Troy. Oh, you decided to go to the home page. That's a good
Ah,
way to clear things out as well.
oh, not bad then. Hmm.
So go back into all properties for now. And the parcels that are, for example, say we're looking at the west side of town along 1604. What you probably would want to do in the cases where you're looking for a broader geography that's not defined by a specific name is use one of our polygon features that is available to guide through the map to a specific area. So let's build out a polygon along 1604 and west of 1604. west of 1604. Okay, well, same concept.
I was going
Perfect.
the opposite direction. Something like this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the concept is kind of the same here. So, development land for, say, retail opportunities, right? In that case, same process on the property type. We're looking for land. And I do want to point out the some of these that are off market. Let's look for land areas that are over 10 acres in size. Now, you're going to have 273 properties in this case that have come up. You can see that number at the top right. Now, of course, we still have the ones that are on the market that are highlighted in blue, but if you jump over into the list view, I do want to point your attention to the changes tab in the list view because oftentimes somebody would have listed a property for a while and they took it off market maybe to cool it. So the changes tab allow you to go back and look at changes that took place as far back as a year. And so last 365 days is what we will select. And then the all changes selection, we actually will focus our attention on the type of sales status change. So from the drop down right at the top left, all changes will be switched to sales status change. Now, the reason why we want to do this is because where it states the column name new status, we may want to look for properties that are withdrawn. What this refers to are the properties that have been on the market for some time but did not sell. One thing you'll see is where it says Talavera Ridge, it actually states that the new status is sold. So we do know that that property has traded. But the ones that are withdrawn, the owner at some point had an interest in selling it, and a lot of times it's a recent interest, but maybe they're cooling the property, they were not able to achieve the price point they were looking at. This is a good way to identify some off-market opportunities very quickly. So if you click into one
But
of
that
these,
still isn't giving me like a comprehensive list of the properties in that area, correct? I mean, this is just stuff that has come on and off the market. I mean, what if I just wanted to say, hey, I'd like to just identify off-market properties in that area that are over 10 acres or 10 to 30 acres?
so the reason why I'm showing you this page is because you actually know that there was interest in selling the property. It often is a bit of a quicker and easier conversation saying, oh, you guys were looking to sell. Are you still interested if we do a direct deal, for example? I'll get to the overall inventory in just a minute. So wanted to show you this changes tab. If you don't mind, go ahead and click into that Houseman Road that you're hovering over Troy. And I just want to make sure that we are on the same page about the fact that you can go to the contacts page on each of the properties, whether it's listed or not, and identify who the owners are. And so the contacts page is going to show you who are some of the folks associated with this property is. So click on the contacts tab. And in this case, East Park Properties, you can see their phone number. You can click on the name of the owner and get a list of folks that are working here. So Reddy would be the person that you would reach out to if this is a parcel that interests you. Sounds good?
Yeah, no, this makes sense. Uh-huh. I'm following you.
Okay. Now that we've talked a little bit about kind of how you can identify those on market and recently on market opportunities that are now off the market, let's get back out into the homepage and talk about the full inventory of parcels that is housed in the public records tool. So from the homepage, it's right in the middle, right there. Public records is going to be where you want to access that particular level of info. Now, this is a little bit of a different animal. You'll see that as you start zooming in, instead of the diamonds, the little dots actually will populate a lot more results in an area. And what will happen is we're tracking pretty much every single parcel out there except for single family residential. Now, as you zoom in and out, You can still continue to switch your map view into an aerial view. Again, personally, just I prefer to see the roof lines a little bit better. But at the top, you now have a primary land use filter available. Now, Troy picked the area where there's literally no vacant parcels. So let's zoom out just a little bit and we'll look for those that are actually are vacant. They don't have a building on them. Do you mind if I continue to use that west side of town as an example still? Or do you want to go to a different area?
Yeah, I'm about to give you an address actually of a parcel that I'm looking at. Let's see. Uh, Go to 439 Southeast Loop 410.
All right. Now, this particular parcel I know is actually listed in Costar, and here's how I know it. Do you see the difference between that red shaded area around 439 Southeast Loop 410 versus the blue shaded parcel in the result list for 5003 Road? So let me explain to you the difference between the two and how you can quickly identify that. Wherever you see that a parcel is on the result list shaded blue with a yellow outline, that indicates that that is a property that is only the public records file that we have in this tool. We actually don't have that particular property within the all properties tool on CoStar. However, the one that you're mentioning, 439 South East Loop 410, is in CoStar because it's actually got an aerial that somebody prepared, so you can see that photo. Troy, can you go ahead and go to 439 Southeast Loop 410 and click on it? No, that's 415. 439. Oh, okay. Sorry, your mouse was just lagging a little bit behind. You're in a great place. So there are 66.88 acres that are being advertised, and see how you can hover back and forth between the public record versus the coaster property detail at the top left.
Yes,
So you can quickly go back and see, this property is in CoStar. You can kind of go back and see that there is a proposed use. Worlds USA actually is the true owner. It looks like there's a site plan for what looks to me like an industrial development right there. So I'm not quite certain that this property is still going to be developed into this. You may need to call on that. But that's what CoStar record indicates. The public record data will just give you the brief information, the recorded owner. If you scroll down, if there were any loans associated with the parcel, you would see those. When's the last time it traded? You would see that. This just looks like, sorry, I mispronounced it. Burales is the owner in this case. You can see the assessed value. Now go back up to the top right hand side and let's click to the next parcel just to give you a quick comparison. This property, it does not have the toggle between the CoStar record versus the public record. We only see the fact that City of San Antonio is the owner, and I guess this property just never hit our database, so we only have the opportunity to look at it from the public recording. But notice that it does show you the land use, residential acreage, and the recorded owner. Keep in mind that you have a researcher assigned to you at the bottom of your homepage. They would be able to help you get a good contact in case you need to get in touch. You can just copy the parcel ID number, which is the top left, and maybe send a note to the researcher saying, hey, I'm looking for some true owner information on how to get in touch. Can you please give me that? So just giving you that little bit of an assistance. Now, in
so
the top left of
your,
the
your researchers can help put some contact information together for some of these parcels.
Well, yes, because in the public record tool, you only see the recorded ownership. It's not like the CoStar curated data in all properties that does give you the true owner information.
So can we go, let's go back to the previous property if we can.
Hmm.
And I know that the property directly on the other side of the 410 is also owned by the same owner. And it looks like it's not listed for sale, but what if I wanted to try and get some information about that parcel?
So let's go back to the result list. And Troy, zoom out just a little. Don't zoom out much, but zoom out just a little. All right. So interestingly enough, I don't see that there is a little dot associated with the property. Maybe we need to move it along a little farther. Oh, there it goes. Uh, I'm I'm surprised that that particular parcel is not feeding even in the public record. It does look like maybe due to the fact that it's residentially zoned that it's not coming up. Can we try the parcel right below? Yeah, see, that one's coming up just fine. Uh, Christopher, I'm not sure why, but and this is data that's feeding to us from the assessor's office. It's not something that we are curating, but at the moment, that parcel is not identified as a property that Costar would present even in the public record. For some reason, it's identified as a residential lot. So at this moment, I don't have information on that particular one. As you see, all the ones that are around there are presented, but that particular one, for some reason, is not.
Okay, so any
So
property with a dot over it would have information, I guess. Is that
yes, correct. And also, if you don't mind, Troy, now let's talk a little bit about the primary land use drop down at the top left. So what
so? I'm
happens
sorry,
is,
I guess one other question. So if it's a larger tract of land that is zoned residential, even if it's a larger tract, it will not show up. Is that correct?
it should have. That's why I'm saying it's kind of odd because see how the one right below it says agricultural land 10 acres. I was personally under the impression that we were capturing all of the properties in this tool outside of single family residential. So it's just somehow that particular one is not one that we're capturing, even though it should be. I mean, we could take a screenshot and send it back to our team saying, hey, how come this one parcel is not showing up? But as you see, all the other ones around there, obviously none of those are commercial. A lot of them are agricultural and residential parcels, large in size, and they do show up. It's just that particular one that you chose is not coming up for some reason.
Got it.
So for the primary land use, can we choose the ones that are labeled as vacant, please? All right. So what you see is we still have that list of results. The vacant selection basically allows you to identify the parcels that don't actually have a building on it. Now, in the filters, just to point out, you can still continue to apply size of the land parcel that you're searching for. For example, right there it says lot size. You can go in and put in the minimum acreage or the maximum, depending on where you are. You also have the opportunity to search by owner. Right below there, what happens is you will just keep in mind that this is the recorded owner. A lot of times entities will have different names associated with different parcels, but in many cases they are all tied to the same address. So you have the opportunity to search by owner name and you have the opportunity to search by owner address. And this takes me back to the question you had, can I pull up portfolios with associated with the same name? And this is the place where you can go ahead and pull up land parcels that are all tied to the same entity by those two different categories, the address or the owner that's recorded. Okay.
Got it. So let's go back and try that Borealis on that has the property that's listed and see what properties pop up associated with that entity.
Sure. And this does work as a keyword. So for example, I have put in like city of San Antonio before and like a bunch of stuff comes up because it does work as a keyword. So go ahead and tab over so that it actually picks up the name that you're searching for.
Say that again, Olga?
Can you click out of the, there you go. All right. So what we see there as you start to zoom out now that the owner name is listed is that there are 3 parcels on the map that are associated with this entity, and the 3 dots are right there on the left hand side of the highway that come up. Can you X out of this particular page on the filters and look at the list of results, please? And so there you go. Those are the 3 parcels that come up under this name. If we keep zooming out, there may be others that they own across other parts of San Antonio, but that's how it works.
So even if I'm zoomed in, I can't get a list to see in a more global fashion. I'd have to zoom out to the whole city to see if there are any other properties they own. Is that correct?
You do, but you can often see where the pockets are. So there is right there where it says Lakeside to the west of the Lakeside section. There were some pockets that are associated with the same name, and right below there as well. So you can pretty quickly see, especially if you switch your map view now back to the street view, you will be able to see where the dots fall much easier.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
There it is. All right. Was this helpful and did it address some of the questions you had?
Yes, I think it was. I guess I'm a little concerned about why that one parcel wouldn't show up again, as I just kind of backed into those 3 because I know about the other 2 and I know they're all with um,
Yeah.
the
Keep
same
in
group.
mind, can you click on layers and zoom back into that area, please? And when you click layers, choose the parcel overlay. Just give it a second. See, it doesn't have it. I'll give that feedback. I jotted down the name of the property, 439 Southeast Loop 410. I'll give that feedback because it's the first time I encountered where a large tract like that is not feeding in. There must be something that's in the county that indicates it as a parcel that we would not track. So I just need to double check with my development team why that's not feeding into the product.
Got it. I guess,
Okay.
and so if I wanted to do a more general search of this area to again say, hey, let me see parcels that are everywhere from 10 acres to 50 acres, along this side of 410, would that just be, I guess, the polygon tool to do that over the area I'm interested in, and then I'd want to see whether they're on or off market. So
Yes, so clear out, Troy, please just hit clear. And let's do this. Let's do the exercise where you use primary land use vacant. Then let me just point out how you would find this information a bit easier. So then land area, you mentioned 10 to 50 acres.
you can just do 10 to 30 or something like that. Just keep it a little
Okay,
small.
okay. And if you don't mind, Troy, zoom into that 410 area just a bit more so we don't have 1,000 parcels. Yeah, right there. Just zoom in. Keep going.
And mostly just outside. Yeah, that's fine. Just do it kind of around that China Grove area, from 10 down to 37 along 410, outside of 410, and see what comes up.
So somehow China Grove has come up in 2 conversations that I've had in the past couple of days. Must be a
Yeah.
hot area. So what we want to do is once we kind of are navigated to the area that we like, Troy, zoom in just a bit more to China Grove. Because keep in mind that whatever you see on your map is what you'll see in your result list. So you want to either draw a polygon of the area that works best for you, or just simply zoom in like Troy did just now. And then at the top, when you see the map view versus the list view, what will happen is it will give you the opportunity to cross-reference the parcels that are available in the properties tool that we reviewed first versus the tool we're using now, which is the public record. So switch to the list view, please, at the top right. And so now you actually see that there are 104 parcels that came up on the public record search. But if you go to the Costar Properties tab, it will give you the opportunity to cross-reference ones that may be on the market for sale inside of this Costar database, or ones that are not for sale, they're just existing. But notice that out of 104, there are very few that actually show up in the properties tool because we just don't have the capacity to track every single parcel, especially if it's just sitting there vacant. It may have been owned by the same people for 150 years. And so that's where the difference between the public record and the properties tool comes in play. You have a lot of opportunity to research land, but you may need to kind of cross-reference that ownership with the researcher to see where you can reach out to them. We are working on something that's pretty cool. The parcels list that comes up in the public record will soon have a hot link to the recorded owner to take you to the Secretary of State filings, where, as you may know, you have a lot of contact information often that you can find. But for now, work with your researcher on the parcels that are most interesting to you if you are finding trouble with finding the contact information. But
And
this would be a
that's
quick.
for properties that are either on the parcel data or the CoStar properties, correct?
Correct. Yes, you can do it for both.
Okay. And who would my researcher be? Would that be y'all or would that be someone else?
At the bottom of the homepage, when you actually get back out, at the very bottom, there is a researcher assigned to all of our clients. So what you will do is just scroll all the way to the bottom. And for us, it's Andrew, the research manager, that's listed. And for you, you might see somebody else on that list.
Got it. Okay.
So that's what we have for you today. Anything else that we can cover? Troy, did you have something else?
I did not have anything else to add. Other than asking if you got to see, Chris, did you get to see any of the state of the market presentations that were done over the past couple of weeks concerning retail, multifamily, and the other asset classes?
I've not, no.
Okay, I might. Is there anything you mentioned? A couple of things here. Is there a specific thing that I could send you, maybe retail or something like that, that might be of help?
No, don't do any retail. If you have anything about the build for rent space or the single family rental funds kind of on the institutional level, that would be interesting.
Okay, we'll see what we can find on that.
Yeah. Cool.
All
Well,
right.
thanks y'all. I appreciate making the time.
Yeah, we'll convert the recording and send it your way as well. And please reach out when you have additional questions. But thank you.
No problem. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.